Deauville, and you are on the lifeboat. Hold on one second, people. Let me get organized here. As you can see, we're going old school. It's all right. We've done this before, right? We got this down. Let me get this squared away here. Let's see. Miss Herman Hill, Kentucky. Good to see you. Alan Ballantyne. Miss V. Joanna W. Good to see you, Joanna. Glad that you're all here. So, yeah, we're going old school. My bobbleheaded partner is going to be busy this evening, so we will hopefully see him back tomorrow night. In the meantime, I am here, and fortunately, I'm not alone. Squirrel Nut Zipper is hanging out right next to me, so Squirrel's ready to roll, and we're good to go. If you saw the thumbnail tonight, we're going to be talking about confrontation. But before we do, let me make sure that I'm squared away so that I can read what is going on in theory. Let me get all of this set up here. And since we're going old school, people, nothing I say tonight is supposed to take the place of medical advice. I am not a doctor, so nothing I say here is to be taken as medical advice. There is no substitute for talking about your recovery with a medical professional prior to embarking on the road to sobriety, especially, people, if one of the substances that you're on happens to be opiates, benzos, or alcohol, especially benzos and alcohol. There are a lot of new treatments out there. Hey, Leisure Beast, good to see you, bud. There are a lot of treatments out there that are now available through medical assisted treatment. You're going to want to make sure you talk to a doctor before you get rolling. It is the best case scenario. It really is. They're professionals. People have spent a lot of time going to school, and they're the people you want to talk to. What we do here is a little different. We're here to support one another in the road to sobriety. That's it. So nothing I say tonight's going to take that place. Brandon, good to see you, bud. Brandon's still fighting the good fight, killing it. Killing it. So proud of you, Brandon. I really am, man. So proud of you. So, Seventh Son, good to see you, bud. Now, rules for the evening. Number one, we're not going to talk about politics. There's a lot going on in the world. You can talk about it anywhere you want, and there's a lot of different places you can talk about it. The whole world is discussing it. We're going to leave that alone. It's not the confrontation we're going to be speaking of this evening. Pamela, good to see you. We're going to be talking about the confrontations that happen that don't require guns. So we're not going to talk about politics tonight. None of that. And it's okay for you to talk about your religion here, but we're not a religious channel, so we don't say things like, this is the right way to go and yours is the wrong way. You're not going to heaven because you did this, or any of that stuff. Just isn't going to fly. We would like you to not curse in the comments section. Recovering drug addicts who decide to enter drug treatment or substance counselor are at a 80% increased chance of release. Is that release or relapse? I don't know if I read that wrong. Yeah, talking to a professional is usually a good call, people. The relapse, there you go. That makes more sense. Let me see this one more time. Recovering drug addicts who decide to enter the drug treatment or substance counselor are at an 80% chance of relapse. So the no cursing in the comment section tonight. Let's not curse. Let's control our tongues for the next hour. If you could, that would be great. And mean people, we got no place for them tonight. That's not the kind of thing that we want to do here. It gets in the way of what we're trying to do. So no mean stuff tonight. And if we go without that, we'll be in better shape. Oh, I see. Hold on. I see. You're saying, Michael, I misunderstood you, I think. You're saying that recovering drug addicts who decide to get into the line of working in treatment, have an 80% chance of relapse? I think that's what you're saying. I'm sorry, I misunderstood you I think the first time that I read that. But I think I got it right this time. Doesn't surprise me. It really doesn't. I was talking with one of my best friends earlier tonight on the telephone, and we were talking about how, you know what, when you work with people every day who, are trying to get sober, it's a difficult thing. When people stumble, it's something that you can really take personally, and it's definitely something that you have to guard yourself against. And I think that for me currently, as I was telling my friend, I try to concentrate on the people that are winning the fight. It's statistically, the odds are not in our favor. We've talked about it many times here on the Lifeboat. It's, hey, Charlie Murphy, good to see you, bud. It's, the odds are not great. We know we're fighting an uphill battle, and every single time somebody makes that successful stride, that's the thing that you really have to concentrate on, and you can't take it personally when someone stumbles. But I can see where that would be a statistic that would pan out. I don't doubt that for not even for a second. I really don't doubt that at all. And there are a lot of other occupations that I'm sure would be tough as well. There's a lot of occupations that people who are in recovery very often can't go into. I think that a lot of people who are recovering addicts end up going into drug treatment because there's that calling that a lot of people feel when they get sober. They feel like they've been there and done that, and they feel like maybe they've taken something away from that they can pass on to society. But yeah, I don't doubt for a second. Derek N says, I might end up going to the hospital. I'm having bad stomach pains. Hey, my friend, don't risk it. You know what I mean? Don't risk it. If you feel like what's going on is dangerous, get there. You're always better off going there and then finding out that you don't need to be there, Derek. It's a whole lot better than not going and finding out that you need to. So please do take care of yourself. Get there. In fact, no reason to even keep listening to us, man. Get there, and then please. Let us know exactly what happened, Derek. But if you've got severe stomach pains, bad enough. I mean, I know enough about you to know that if you feel like it's time to go to the doctor, then it's severe. So, I'm not a doctor, but bud, go see one if you're feeling like you're in that kind of pain. Please get there. Call an Uber if necessary. If you feel like you can't drive, but get to the hospital. But if you're hurting that bad, please do that. 4 more tests this week. X-rays. Oh, man. Yeah, well, you're going to be in my thoughts and prayers, Derek, and please don't mess around. Don't. And that goes to everybody. If you're feeling something that your heart's telling you that you probably ought to go to the doctor, listen to your heart. I don't think that that's something that you're ever going to regret. I think that that's something that definitely needs to happen. Brandon said, I stumbled twice before I hit 64 days sober. You know what, Brandon? And everything about what you're doing right now is just awesome. It really is. I know that you're in a good place. It's so much different. When you do work with people, and I'm no counselor, it's not what I do. I just run a place where everybody can get together and talk. But I spend a decent amount of time, conversing with people and emails back and forth and texting and things, and just the difference in you, Brandon, between then and now is like night and day. It's like talking to two different people, and the level of confidence in you and everything you do. I mean, there was really a period of time, Brandon, where you were just hoping from one day to the next to get by, and you're just a different cat right now, and it's translating to every aspect of your life. You're working out, your spirituality, all of it. It's exciting to watch, and as much as it's really tough to watch somebody stumble, when you see somebody that's just killing it, like yourself or like Alan or like Miss V or like Seventh or like anybody, on the boat that's just really getting it done. That's just one of the great feelings. It's a high that makes the other parts endurable. But yeah, I'm not at all surprised by that statistic. The more I think about that probably makes a lot of sense. It really does, especially when you think that if you just take people in general who are getting sober, and then look at the relapse rates for people regardless of what their occupation is. I think if they get into something that like your line of work, Michael, I think that probably does up the ante, pretty severely. I'm not even slightly surprised by that. So before we get rolling, just a couple of things. I want to apologize that we kind of dragged our feet on a couple of things. We've announced that there are some changes happening to the boat. There's just been we've had a couple of hiccups with scheduling, but within the next week we're going to be doing the beta test on the call-in show, and we're going to probably blast out to a couple of the old schools, the people that have been here forever, and let you guys get the opportunity to be some of the first people that call in, so that while we're beta testing it, you can be some of the first people to test this out. I just saw 4 months, 15 days. That's for Miss V and for Seventh Son. Absolutely take a bow, both of you. And you know what? The way that the two of you have leaned on one another and helped one another has been just one of the most beautiful things to watch. Really, I mean, you talk about the dream of the boat just being a reality. Watching you two challenge each other and spur each other on and encourage one another. I mean, that's the dream of of what we do with group. I mean, that's it right there. When it's working at its best, that's it. And I love that you two share a sobriety date. I think that is so cool. So the call-in show, we're going to be doing a little beta testing here in the next week. Also, I'm going to be doing some shows where it's going to be me and Niall, and we're getting all of that ironed out as well. It's just a couple of things that needed to get taken care of with me and Mark. But as promised, those things are coming. I promise you, people. So that's he's your sobriety friend. Yeah, and it really has been great watching the two of you. I love it. I can't wait to whip out the participation trophy at 365 days, and we'll have a big party for the two of you, because I know that day is coming. I have no doubts. And I think it's a great indicator of what happens when you do the buddy system, when you got somebody that you really rely on and lean on, and the two of you fight sort of together on the whole thing. I think it really is just such a beautiful demonstration of that and how well that works. So that's the announcements for the day, and the shows with me and Niall should be coming up. At least the first one is going to be coming up next week. So I'm very much looking forward to that. Yeah, I've been sticking to my soda and water, no alcohol. Good for you, hon. I love it. I absolutely love it. And last thing before we get rolling, please keep up the prayers for the world and the situation that it's in. Thoughts, prayers, energy, whatever it is you believe, for the not just the poor people of Ukraine, but everybody involved in that conflict. On both sides of the equation are just they need our prayers. They really do, and the earth could use it. The more positive energy and the more thoughts and prayers that you send out, the better off we're all going to be. I really believe that. And at the same time, the good people of Australia, and we do have one of the largest contingents of our audience are people from Australia. So thoughts and prayers for them. They are underwater. That place has just been inundated with more rain than you could possibly shake a stick at, and it's frightening. I was talking with Lady Fiona, and she said that there are places where houses are under 15 meters of water, and I realize we're this part of the planet, we don't do a lot with the metrics, but that a meter is damn close to a yard, right? So we're looking at like 50 feet of water in some places, and I've lived through some floods and some things, and 50 feet. I mean, I can't wrap my brain around that. I honestly cannot wrap my brain around just how much water that is. So those people could use our thoughts and prayers. No matter what we do in life, we're not going to get through this without conflict, right? It's not going to happen. And I mean personal conflict. I don't mean the stuff that's happening right now in the world. I mean confrontation. And it's one of the things, yeah, Alan says it's been horrible, honestly. Yeah, it really is it's terrifying. So thoughts and prayers to everybody in Australia. People in Sydney apparently really have it bad. So just keep them in your thoughts and prayers. Yes, Miss Hermidale, Kentucky says a meter is 39-ish inches. I believe that. I know that it's close to 36, so it's in the 3-foot ballpark or something like that. But people, we're not going to get through life without confrontation. It doesn't happen. And as recovering addicts, as people in general, right? This is just a part of life that nobody really digs. Confrontation stinks. It's not fun. We usually get that feeling in the pit of your stomach. When you know it's coming, and then it's that feeling that bothers everybody, especially, even people who are, air quotes, normal, right? People who aren't fighting the good fight. Nobody really enjoys having to deal with confrontation. But like so many things in sobriety, if you wait until confrontation is coming before you think about it, you're probably in danger. And that's everything in sobriety. You can't let the things that happen in life sneak up on you, right? The more you have a plan, the more you're prepared in advance for the things that are going to come at you, the better off you are, and the better a chance you have of remaining sober. So there are different types of confrontation. And if you start thinking about them, there's really basically 3 general types of confrontation. The first of those is someone confronting you, right? Someone has a problem with something you do and they come at you and hey, I want to talk to you. I got a bone to pick with you, that kind of thing. That's the first type of confrontation. The second type, obviously, would be the exact opposite. This is when something grinds your gears for a long enough period of time, or something comes up that is frustrating enough to you that you feel like that's it. I'm going to give this person a piece of my mind, or I need to address this. Hey, Jesse Brown, good to see you. Global warming is not joking around. Evening, Captain. Good to see you, bud. So that's the second type. And the third type of confrontation is confrontation that we probably don't need to be in, but we choose to be in anyway. This is when 2 other people are in the process of having a debate or an argument or something, and we as individuals feel the need to chime in. Christine, hello there. Hold on, did I miss? Christine, good to see you. That's awesome. I love it when Christine's here. Good to see you, hon. Long time no see. And that's my fault, not yours. I just haven't been getting around to some of the other channels much lately. But the third type of confrontation is the ones that we can avoid so easily, but for whatever reason we don't. It's when we tend to jump in on debates or confrontations that are happening between other people. And this is something that this is probably the easiest one to avoid. Doesn't necessarily mean we're gonna, but it's the easiest one to avoid. When all of these things start coming down the pike, the better prepared you are for dealing with these things, the less of a chance you have of these becoming something that drives you back to doing something stupid. It keeps you from making that fatal error of starting the process, of relapse. Doesn't necessarily mean you're going to, drink or do drugs, that day. But oftentimes, the start of bad behavior, the start of a relapse can happen just from confrontation with people. So what I want to do today is talk about all of the different ways that we can avoid this. Now, I don't mean that you can avoid all confrontation, because truthfully, you can't. There's no way you're getting off of this planet without plenty of confrontations. The only other option is you turn around, you walk away. But unfortunately, that's not always going to be something that works out. There are many times that these are essential parts of what we do. You have to deal with this to get on to the next phase of whatever it is. Confrontations have a lot of work. They happen unbelievably often with loved ones. And these are things that you know are coming. So why not plan for them in advance? So anytime you start feeling this stuff coming, the first thing you want to do is just assess the situation, right? This goes across the board for everything, but it really is important in confrontation. Assess the situation. Ask yourself before you get rolling, can this be avoided? You realize how many times we wade into situations that we just don't need to be in? We find it these days with politics and things all the time. Someone says some blanketed statement about how the president we have is the greatest person on the planet or the dumbest person on the planet, depending on what side of the aisle they're on. And you find yourself feeling that need to go, oh, I'm going to set this cat straight. There are times and places for everything. And unfortunately, we are in the times right now in the world where speaking your mind isn't what it used to be. In the old days, you could have a debate with somebody, and we've talked about this before. A Democrat and a Republican could sit down and debate, why higher taxes work, why lower taxes don't work, or whatever the side of the aisle was on, and then, go have a burger afterwards and hang out and talk, or play tennis or do whatever you do. These days, not only is that not possible, but very often now, regular, run-of-the-mill confrontations end up with violence. So before everything gets rolling, assess the situation. If not, just for protection, if for no other reason. As a guy that spent some time behind bars, the number of confrontations that take place in prison is terrifying, because you take a group of alpha males, people that weren't very good at following the rules in the first place, and you shove them all into the same place and remove all of the things in life that calm them down, and you get this pressure cooker kind of an environment. But with all of the number of fistfights and terrible things that you see, the number of them that I avoided by assessing the situation, looking at a person and going, yeah, this isn't a guy I'm going to get into debate with. There's a really good chance this is going to be one of those guys that pulls the trigger really, really quickly. And this is going to escalate from having a conversation to people throwing punches. So number one, assess the situation. And then number two, try to calm stuff down, right? Try to de-escalate it. And there's a lot of different ways you can do this. But how about some real basic stuff? There are things we do as human beings in communication, right? And for better or worse, whether you dig me or you don't like me, what I do for a living is communicate, right? That is what I do. And there are things within communication that absolutely will run problems every single time. And people do them all the time anyway without even thinking about it. Like this one here, right? Roll your eyes at somebody, and you have just escalated the confrontation from here to there. All the stuff you can do with body language. When a person starts to speak their piece and starts to get whatever it is they've got off their chest, if you go like this, you've just escalated that crap to the next level. So one of the first things you want to do is start thinking about body language. And then one of the other things, and it's just basic stuff, people, but it doesn't happen. People don't pay attention to this. If you say, hey, I really wanted to talk to you about X, Y, and Z, and here's my issue, and you start to explain, the first thing I do is go like this, right? And let me tell you about, we just escalated this. And the more you start raising the level of argument in this, the uglier it gets. So lower your voice. And I know it should be common, sense stuff, but don't lower your voice to the point where you look like you're patronizing the person you're talking to. When a person says, hey, here's my issue, you don't want to go, oh, okay. All of the things that you do should be designed to de-escalate the situation. And for a lot of reasons. Number one, you're safer these days if you're not arguing with people. But number two, nothing ever gets solved when both parties are angry. When both parties are raging, you're never going to get to a conclusion, right? You're never going to get to a good conclusion. Nothing good is ever going to come from that. So you lower your voice. And I'll tell you, this has worked for me so well in my life. And I know we talk about honesty here constantly because, the currency of addiction is lies. But there are times when you can say to somebody, hey, you know what? I'm sorry, without being sorry. I don't think it's a cardinal sin. I really don't. to de-escalate a situation and to make things, in your own head. You want to justify it. You can go, hey, you know what? I'm sorry. And in your head, you could be going, I'm sorry that you're such an idiot that I got to do this. Like, why am I even? But to say sorry to somebody, right? To be the first person, the term to be the bigger man comes up all the time. But to just be that person that hands out the olive branch is going to be one of these things that pays off in the long run. I promise you, more than you can possibly imagine. The number of great arguments that have been avoided by someone just saying, hey, you know what? I'm sorry. You're right. I understand why, this is bothering you, or whatever the case may be. But one of the things that, that happens in these situations is people accidentally start giving commands. How many times have you been in an argument with somebody and they go, hey, don't raise your voice, right? Lower your voice. Calm down. You start giving commands to somebody that you're in the middle of a debate with. Not only have you escalated this, but you have jumped by the third step to the fifth. When you got two people that are clashing, normally someone's going to elevate their voice. It's either going to be you or it's going to be the other person, but someone is going to start with that, taking it up just a little bit louder. Every time that person is the aggressor, and you want this to have a good conclusion, you should be doing everything within your power to just knock this down. If you slow down when you talk, unusual things happen. As a public speaker, if I'm talking one way through the entire presentation, and then I slow down and I lower my voice a little bit, people pay attention differently. All of a sudden, and this is I hate yelling, and I don't blame you. I'm not a big fan either. But, as a public speaker, very oftentimes you're in a room, even if you're amplified, you're in a room with, 200 or 300 people or 2,000 or 3,000 people, and you're trying to project your voice to the people in the back of the auditorium, the room, the convention center, whatever. When you break the cadence of what you're doing and you start slowing down, right? I used to watch the entire audience lean forward. It was one of those things that used to, it would tickle me. I thought it was one of the funniest things ever. All you got to do is start doing this. And people begin to pay attention differently. They look at you like dogs do occasionally. You know what I mean? Like that the head kicks to the side. But all of these things can be done to de-escalate the situation. Whatever you do, don't start giving somebody commands. Telling somebody to calm down has never calmed anyone down. Not going back to the history of man. When you say calm down, what you're doing is making them angry. You're not calming them down. So take that one completely off the list. And then here's probably the hardest piece of advice that I'm going to give anybody. And I'm telling you, I'm no master at any of this, people, right? Very few people are. But the greatest thing that you can do in an argument or a debate, whether or not you want to win it, but even if you're not trying to de-escalate the situation, the greatest thing that you can possibly do is listen. We're not very good at this, honestly. And I don't just mean, I'm talking to the whole audience now. My Australian friends, the people that we've got in England, right? We're in 37 countries now. I'm not picking on the United States. All of the audience here. We're not great listeners. As human beings, we love doing this, but we're not great at listening. And very oftentimes in confrontation, you start to do something called ego speak. You're not listening to anything the person's saying, right? In your mind, you're getting Charlie Brown's teacher. Wah, 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 because you're already thinking about what the next thing that you say is going to be. And you're not paying any attention. When you're trying to de-escalate a situation, the best thing that you can do is figure out where it is that person is coming from, right? What is it that has this person to the point where their voice is starting to raise and you can see that they're starting to figure it out. You're not going to figure that out by telling them to calm down. You're not going to figure that out, right, by any of the things that people do all the time in confrontation. The best thing that you can do is listen. And if the next thing out of your mouth is, you know what, could you explain that one more time? Honestly, you want to derail a situation? Say to somebody, I missed that. And I'm trying to understand where you're coming from. Could you just repeat what you were just saying? There's no way a person repeats what they just said at the same tone. Try it out. Tell me I'm wrong. The person says, well, you told me you were going to do this on Friday. And said, hey, man, could you repeat that? Run that by me again. I said, you're already de-escalating this. Pay attention. Listen to what the person says. When someone feels like you are engaged in what they're doing, amazing things can happen. Ask them to truthfully explain their point. And if you say to somebody, you know what, man, I can see that you're passionate about this, right? I can see that this is really upset you. Do me a favor and really explain this, because I'm not trying to make you upset. I'm not trying to do anything to make you angry. Please explain to me why you're so upset. I promise you, people, you are going to get results from these techniques. I hate yelling too. I really do. And for those of you who have been here forever, you probably remember the first, 30 shows, maybe 40 shows. We didn't have the Yeti, the Blue Yeti microphone, right? The Blue Yeti microphone is incredible. And, I could be on the other side of the room and I can talk and this thing picks stuff up. In fact, you've heard watches tick, right? The Blue Yeti is amazing. But if you remember back in the day, once in every single show, somebody would say, I can't hear you, right? It would pop up there. Can't hear you. We can't hear you. And you end up making your voice a little louder, right? So that you can be heard. And anytime I had to raise my voice just so that I could be heard, the number of comments I got would be less. I'm dead serious. You could watch how, and I don't mean being angry. I just mean the raising of the voice would affect the audience in ways that was profound. When you start doing it in the process of a debate, or I don't want to say an argument because we'd like to avoid even thinking of it in terms of an argument, but when you're starting to get into that confrontation, any of the small things you can do are going to affect the situation. And people take this for granted. Body language. How many times has somebody said something in a confrontation or a debate that bothers you, and you do this one? You turn and look away from them. Without saying a word, you just said, what you just said is stupid, and I'm disconnecting. I'm no longer listening to anything else you say. You just made an invalid point, and I am no longer going to listen to you. Not worth my time to listen to you. Right? If you said that out loud, obviously you're really going to get somebody angry. I promise you. If we're in the middle of doing this and I go, and I do that one, no difference. It'll have the exact same effect on you as if I say, I'm not listening to you anymore. You're a blithering idiot. You're not getting your point across. I'm done. Either of those things will have the exact same effect. The people realize when they're being listened to and when they're not. And when you take the time to actually listen, all it shows is respect, right? You don't have to agree with anything someone is saying to give them the respect to allow them to say it, right? Who was that? Voltaire, right? I may disagree with what you say, but I will defend to the death your right to say it. Well, we're not that world anymore. And in debates, I tried that so many times with my ex when he was drunk. He would just follow me. It didn't matter. So let's go back to number one, right? The very first thing I talked about tonight. Assess the situation. If the debate you're about to have is with somebody who is drunk, don't do it. Don't do it, right? I can't remember who said it, but never try to teach a fish to ride a bike. Right? It will waste your time and it will anger the fish. Trying to have a debate with a drunk person is about as effective as trying to teach a fish to ride a bike. It is an absolute waste of time. Sorry. So assess the situation. Always figure out whether or not it's worth getting into that, and when you get to when you start going through the process of doing this in steps and getting good at it, very oftentimes assessing the situation is going to make it so that it's going to be, you're going to be over before you start, because you're going to get to a point where you realize which debate or which confrontation is worth your time and effort, and which one is just one you got to get away from, plain and simple. Just not enter, right? It really is that simple. The fourth one, don't let this get personal. How many times have you been in a confrontation with somebody and the subject matter could be anything? You're talking about money that's owed. You're talking about rent. You're talking about somebody that's been late. You're talking about anything, right? Once it goes from whatever the subject matter is to a personal attack, now we have escalated this to the point where you're already literally in danger. Number one, you're in danger of this thing not working out well. And you're in danger of physical confrontation. The police will tell you that the most dangerous call in the world for a police officer is a domestic violence call. The reason being, arguments between people who care about one another get to be some of the most dangerous things in the world. And a guy comes in and he's the third man in, right? So this would be the third type of debate that we're talking about. One where you are forced or dragged into a situation where you have to weigh in on something where you don't have a dog in the fight, right? You're not the aggressor. You're not the defender. You're the third person in. Awful situation. Police officers are more in danger when they're trying to be that individual. When you're the referee, avoid it. Seriously, there are very few times that being the referee, being the third person in, is worth it. There are times you might have to because they're loved ones. Sorry. The person who can drive themselves further once the effort gets painful is the one who will win. You know what, Seventh Son? In debates and arguments, I am of the firm belief that the winner is the person that listens the best. For real. Even if it's a legitimate debate, right? This isn't something that is necessarily a confrontation. It's just two people who are arguing a point, talking about politics or religion or anything. The only way you're ever going to say anything intelligent that really is going to make your point is to listen to the individual who's talking to you. It's like sales or anything else. I used to train salespeople, and you would get people who would just steamroll over the people they were trying to sell. And like anything else, the people are going to tell you exactly what's on their mind. And if you don't know what's on their mind, then you can't meet them halfway in anything. You understand what I'm saying? In order to have a conversation, you need to be a listener. And people are awful at this. They really are. It's one of the things that we do worse than anything in people. So, again, number 4, don't make it personal and choose your words carefully, because it's very easy to use trigger words, right? Or say phrases that are just absolutely guaranteed to cause a fight. These blanket statements that people say all the time. You always do that, right? Good one. You always do that. Or bring up things from the past. Now, this is one of those things that happens in confrontations with your boss or your loved ones, where the person says, all right, look, the problem is you've been late for work. All right, this is the 4th day in a row. We got a time clock for a reason. I got to have you here, blah, 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 blah. Well, you remember 4 weeks ago when you were late with my paycheck? If you bring something up from the past, right? What you're saying to the person that you're debating with is, or arguing with, or having a confrontation with, is, this isn't about your subject matter. I'm not going to listen to you about your subject matter. This is about scoring points. So, you want to talk to me about this? I'm going to bring up something just to score a point. And what it's going to do is, it's going to escalate the situation to the point where the guy might just say, do me a favor, get your stuff and leave. Right? I don't need you here. It's something that comes up far more often with loved ones than it does anywhere else. When loved ones argue, people bring up stuff from the past, and it is an absolute killer. It's a death sentence to any kind of meaningful debate, any kind of meaningful resolution. When you start throwing personal barbs, hey, Lady Fiona Crispin, good to see you. Hope you're doing well. But this is the kind of stuff that derails productivity. Nothing good is going to happen once you start making things personal. You always do that. Any of those kind of blanket statements. And first of all, we've talked about this before, but you talk about just a dumb thing to say, right? You always do that. I don't always do anything. I don't even always eat, right? There's nothing on this planet that someone always does, with the exception of maybe breathing. But it's one of those things that people bring up. May I make another suggestion, right? Leave an argument to death when it's done. Don't park it away for a later date. And you know what I'm saying. Anybody that's ever been in a relationship has done this. You get into a relationship and your significant other does something that really bothers you and you go, ooh, I'm putting this one in the back pocket, right? I'm going to wait. And the next time I'm getting yelled at because I left clothing on the floor, or the next time I'm getting yelled at because I did this, or this, I'm going to pull this one out because this is gold. I'm going to use this. I might get 2 years out of bringing this up in arguments. We've talked about it many times in the past that when someone says, I'm done, right? I'm sorry. When you say, it's all right, I forgive you, what you're saying is, I have now given up the right to ever bring this back up again, ever. You want to have a good relationship? Give that a try. When someone says, I forgive you, it means I can never bring it up again. So if you are in a debate with your significant other and what they did bothered you so much that you're not done with it, you may need to talk about this a couple of more times in the future before you can really feel good that you have this closure and you've got it all put to bed and you can move on. So when they say, hey, I'm really sorry, your best bet is to go, thanks, means a lot to me that you said that. At this point, I'm not ready to say I forgive you because I feel like I might have to talk about this again at a later date. Don't use it as a weapon. Get it taken care of so that you can say, I forgive you. Because when you do, you have given up the right to ever bring it back up again. That's it. It's over. It's done. Right? And if you don't, well, then you're cheating. And when you start cheating, right? Confrontations between you and your boss, confrontations between you and somebody you work with, those are part of life, right? Confrontations with people you love aren't supposed to be about scoring points. They're not supposed to be about who wins, who loses. It's supposed to be about getting to the end so that you can get back to loving the person. Getting to the end so that you can get back to having a healthy relationship and a happy life. Too often, when we start to debate with people that we care about, we're trying to make sure that we win the argument. You know who wins an argument? Nobody. For real. Not among people that love each other. Both of you should be doing everything within your power to put the issue into the ground and bury it. Plain and simple. In order to do that, you have to both be working toward a common goal. And if these are the kind of things that, look, as a recovering addict, have this conversation with the person that you're dating, the person that you're engaged to, the person that you really think you're going to be spending a lot of time with. Let's talk about how we argue. For real. Have that conversation when there's no argument coming, and you won't believe how much you can get done. Truth be told, digging up old bones is one of the worst things that you can ever do in a relationship, right? And we do it constantly. We do it all of the time. So say to a person ahead of time, we're not digging up bones. We're not going to do that. This is what I forgive you means. It means I am never, ever going to bring this up ever again. Sit down with the person that you intend to spend the rest of your life with and say, let's go over the rules of argument. By the way, people, I've done this. And when you have this conversation with somebody, they go, huh? Because I promise you, you'll be the first person to have ever brought it up to them. People don't do this. You know why they don't? Because they don't need to think about it. Me, myself, and I is who I spend the most time with. Well then, we all know you're not having any really good arguments. But I promise you, I said this at the beginning of the show, and I've said this so many times, but as recovering addicts, you can't wait for the peanut butter to hit the fan and then say, I need a plan for this. You have to have a plan in advance for all of the things that can happen to you. So by knowing what's going to happen before it happens, plan, have rules for arguments with the person you care about. Yes, Tommy, but when alcohol is involved, rules tend to go out the window. Miss V, you're 100% right. But when alcohol is involved, the first step of this process takes hold. Evaluate the situation. That's when you say to the person, you know what, babe? I love you. I do. I love you. Let's have this conversation a little later. And if they just continue to yell or anything else, you get to the fifth step, right? Skip from 1 all the way down to number 5. And you know what number 5 is? Don't be afraid to get out of Dodge. Straight up. Don't be afraid to go, I'm done. Right? Don't say it like that because you're going to cause a massive argument. But don't be afraid to walk away. If you say it in such a way, the person has to be the biggest jackwagon on the planet to not be able to deal with it. If you say to somebody, you know what? This is honestly giving me a panic attack. If it's all right with you, I'm just going to step outside and get a little oxygen. Give me 2 minutes. And then go for a 35-minute walk. Because if the person's drunk, they're going to forget you were there in about 15 minutes. Chances are by the time you come back, they'll be asleep. But in any debate, there can't be a fear at any point of just saying, that's it, I'm walking away. It's about protecting you, right? That's what this is about. And here's the other thing, and this is something that actually dovetails beautifully into our situation. But as for me, at this juncture of my life, I could not have a significant other that gets drunk and argues with me. It's not a possibility. I couldn't have a significant other that gets drunk. I'm not that guy. I'm to the point in my life where the most important thing in the world to me, I got a list of about 7 things that are just so important to me. They are the backbone and the basis of my life, right? The first on that list would be my spirituality, my belief in God. That would be the first thing. Family would be second. But above them all is sobriety. Because I will forget about God. I will forget about my family. I will forget about my job. I will forget about my passions. All of them will be gone if I use. And I know this. This is who I am. This is etched in stone. All I got to do to destroy my life is get high once. And everything else will be gone. So for me, the most important thing in the world is to make sure that I'm not getting high. So if I'm going to be with a person who's drinking, that's a direct threat on my sobriety. And alcohol wasn't my thing. But if I sit and watch a person become inebriated on a regular basis, that isn't in line in any way, shape, or form with the life that I want to live. It isn't. And, people will go, it's not fair. I don't know, maybe not. Maybe not. But I'm designing my life in such a way that the one thing I haven't got to worry about is relapsing and ending up back in prison or ending up back on the needle or any of those things. And there's nothing in my life, nothing that is so important to me that I will allow it to encroach on that. So if the person that I care about is someone that drinks 5 or 6 times a day, one of those 2 things is going. My relationship with them or their drinking. I'm sorry. And if that sounds really crappy, it's just the way it is. It's the way it is. You want to see the lifeboat disappear in 15 minutes? Right? Let me get high. This thing will be gone tomorrow. Like that. I won't show up here and do this. Everything else will too. Everything in this house will have a little red tag on it that says for sale. Because nothing Once I start down that road, it's all over. It's all over. And I mean quickly. Yeah, sign a contract to yourself every day you sign. I'm telling you, that literally is the method to my life right there. That's Jeffrey Connelly, good friend of mine. That is the method of my life. And it's a great way to put it. Every single morning when I get up, there is a new contract. And every single morning I sign that contract. That is my life. And the beautiful thing is, once you really have a handle on this, and I'm not bragging, people, it took me 4 decades. Trust me when I tell you I'm not bragging. I'm the slowest learner in the world. But once you get to that point, once you're sure that this is where you're going to be, this is, the person that I am going to be for the rest of my life. Like we talked about last night, I begin to design my life in such a way that I get joy in the things that I do, right? I design my life in such a way that nothing is going to encroach or threaten my sobriety. So as I'm selecting a significant other, there's not much chance I'm picking her out at a bar, right? I wouldn't be at a bar. And one of the things that I discuss with people, I mean fast, is my past. And it's not because I'm proud of it. It's because it's 2022. You think you're going to go on a date with somebody who didn't Google you as soon as they found out what your name was? I'm not hard to Google. You know what I mean? Like, I'm a pretty easy guy to find. One of the first conversations I'm having with anybody that has a potential to spend the rest of their life with me is, I've got a really checkered past. But here's how I live now. If any of these things, this, and this, is a problem, there's no point in us going forward. Plain and simple. If you're a recreational drug user, I'm not mad at you. I've said this before, people. I'm not even angry at drugs. You understand? This isn't an anti-drug channel. This is an anti-addiction channel. I have no problem with people who drink. I'm not angry at people that drink. I just don't intend to marry one. Right? And it's a personal conviction with me. It doesn't have to be for everybody. But design your life in such a way to cut down on confrontation. This is a new beginning, right? We've talked about how I do my deal, right? This is page 3 Tommy. Page 2 Tommy was a dirtbag. Alex can tell you, right? Alex knew page 2 Tommy. I did not have anybody's best interest but mine at heart. And at the time, what I believed was my best interest was terrifying. For real, it was terrifying. But when I went to page 3, I began to design a life and do it in such a way that I don't have to worry about this. I don't. These are things I don't have to worry about. So there will never be a debate with a drunk person. And people, don't get me wrong. 2 weeks ago? Where were we at? 2 weeks ago? Remember, I cut a show short because we had a crew member driving down the freeway in an automobile after drinking a fifth, talking about how he was ready to run his car into somebody. My goal was to get that person to the side of the road, right? As soon as I got that person to where they could get the keys out of the car, I said, I don't do this with drunk people. Sorry. I'm not having a debate with a drunk person. It doesn't make any sense. Tommy, I'm sorry. Even though I'm not going to drink, you're not my type. You know what, Seventh Son? That hurts. For real. That's going to leave a mark. No, you know what? That's probably not such a big deal because maybe you weren't looking, but the Chili Mancer just announced the other day, apparently on Facebook, that he and I are in a relationship. Or maybe he just announced that to everybody. It was kind of a odd post, but I thought I'd throw that out there just in case the Chili Mancer catches this one at a later date. But Seventh Son, you didn't even mention. Huh? I turned the moose around? I swear to you, sometimes I feel like you're not paying attention anymore. What? I thought I was in a relationship with him too. Oh, the Chili Mancer? Yeah, he's busy. I love Donnie. Honestly, people, if he's one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet. Donnie is just really, really a good person. Hey, everyone, I'm really late. I hope you're doing well. T. Prada. Well, let's look at it this way. You're just really early for tomorrow's show. Yeah, you're a pinch late for this one. That's all right, though. It's always better late than never. I really do believe that. Tommy Kessler. What's up, Tommy? How you doing? Good to see you. People, we're getting up to I love Donnie, too. Donnie really is great. And you know what? Donnie's you can learn a lot from Donnie as well. You know, Donnie got to a point in his life where he said, he was very much established in everything he was doing in life, and he just realized that he wasn't happy and just yanked the e-brake, stopped everything he was doing, and completely re-engineered his life. And to that, you know, if you're unhappy with what you're doing, fix it. You know how many people just continue to go through life the entire time not happy? Alan Ballantyne says, I got to go a tad early, everybody. Sorry. Much love to you all, and God bless. I'm going to let this one slide, Alan, since you already were stuck listening to me for a long period of time earlier in the day. We'll let this one pass. Hold on one second. I want to make sure I didn't miss something vital here, because that does happen all the time, people, especially when I don't have my glasses on. Yeah, Tommy Kessler, good to see you again, bud. Yeah, I missed something, but if I try to go back, I'm liable to block someone. Go ahead. Insert your favorite really fat Tommy finger joke here. So, people, tomorrow night, I will be back here. Same bat time, same bat channel. I think I will be back here with my bobbleheaded partner. But either way, we will be here and we'll be doing what we do. I want to thank all of the new people that... we've had a good influx of some new crew members that have really assimilated very quickly into the group, and I wanted to give a shout out. I don't do this often enough. And since I really don't do this very often, I'm going to do it. And you know how I feel about it, but I'm going to do it. Do me a favor, everybody. I'm sure that Christine Stedman told you to do this 500 times already because she is a beast that way. But if you haven't, hit that subscribe button. We'd really appreciate that. And... if you can give us a thumbs up, and then maybe after, I realize that most of you have left 75 comments in the last hour, but if you want to pop over right after we're done and leave a comment, you can tell us if you enjoyed the show. You can tell me I stunk. You can say whatever you'd like, but by leaving that comment, it tells the good people at the big red button that we are all engaged. And in doing so, they push us just a little bit further out, and that's how we end up in places like Australia and New Zealand and all the places all over the world. But Joanna, good night to you. God bless. So, people, I will be back tomorrow night right here, same bat time, same bat channel, and we'll be doing that voodoo that we do so well. Between now and then, you have one assignment, right? Reach out and try to save somebody. If there's somebody out there in the life, people, tell them there's a better way. Tell them you care. Do it non-confrontationally. Just tell them you care, you know? And you know what? If it all else fails, everybody on this planet wants to give you their opinion about something. You know this, right? It's gospel truth. As people, there's nothing in the world we like more than giving our opinion. So say to somebody, check out a new channel on the on YouTube. Check it out. I'd like your opinion on it. Get them over here. You know what? All we can do is hope, right? We can lead a horse to water, but you can't teach it algebra. Just keep leading them to water, people. Reach out. Try to save somebody. It's what we do. I am Captain Tommy Scoville. Oops. And this, of course, is a cat in a basket. Say goodnight, squirrel. What do you say, kitty? All right. Good night, everybody. God bless.